Live from WZBC Newton, it's time for First Stop. I'm excited for today's show today. We have a jam-packed show.
Today's podcast, we're featuring Austin, a chief correspondent of the show. He's here in the studio this morning.
Hey everybody, how's it going? My name's Austin, as Erik just said. Good to be here. Good to be a part of the show.
Yeah, excited. We have our first guest of the show. We're going to be interviewing Austin later on in the show. In this episode, we are going to be talking about some NBA predictions since the season is starting in just a few days. We're also going to be going over a new Guinness World Record that was just recently set, which is pretty interesting. And also a quick story time about a metal concert that Erik and Austin went to.
Let's start with sports. Jacob, lead us off.
Alrighty, so with the NBA starting in just a few days, 3 days that is, I want to break down my predictions for all 30 teams in the league. So Colin Cowherd does this thing where he breaks down all 30 teams and he gives a short little splur or 3-word sentence that summarizes how the team will do this upcoming season. So first off are the Atlanta Hawks. Atlanta Hawk down. The Atlanta Hawks have disappeared from the league for a while now. They are going to be rebuilding. They have an interesting young player in Trae Young. I think everybody is hyping over him, thinking he's the next Stephen Curry, but he's not going to be a star for quite a few years. I think he's going to be a C-plus player. Next, the Boston Celtics, the new Warriors. Yes, Beantown is going to be taking over the Warriors spot as the top team in the league. Gordon is doing well. He's back. He's ready. And they have the best young core in the league, and they're going to be dominant for a while, especially with Kyrie planning on re-signing a long-term contract. Next, the Brooklyn Nets. Brooklyn, we don't go hard. No star in sight on their roster. Perhaps the most average team in the league, and I was looking over the roster, and their highest played player is Kenneth Faried. You know that's an issue. Charlotte Hornets, when will they sting? Look, I think Kemba Walker is one of the most underrated players in the league. Malik Monk is going to start developing into a star. He's a sharpshooter from outside. Tony Parker, sure, he's a name-brand player. He's not going to do anything for them. I think the Hornets need to start moving into the top tier now. They're consistently like a 6th, 7th seed team. They need to start attacking. Chicago Bulls, missing the bullseye. It's a pretty good one. Portis, Markkanen, Wendell Carter Jr., they're going to be carrying the team in the future, but they're not going to be a serious team in 4 years. Cleveland Cavaliers, I'm sorry, Erik, the empty throne. No LeBron. It's going to be cold and empty in Cleveland for a while, just like their winters. The Dallas Mavericks. Wow. Is Dirk even still playing? I completely forgot about the Mavericks. They drafted Luke Doncic, who was a pretty hype player in draft. He's actually favored to be Rookie of the Year, so hopefully he develops into a nice player. DeAndre Jordan and Dennis Smith Jr., I'm excited to see that duo, but it shouldn't be anything too out of the ordinary. Denver Nuggets, Gold Nugget. I think they are one of the quietest teams in the NBA that's going to surprise people this year. They were actually 1 win short of the playoffs last year from advancing into the semis. And I think that for that reason, people should not be sleeping on them. Next, the Detroit Pistons, offbeat Drummond. Trying to say offbeat Drumming. I think this is Drummond's team. Griffin's not going to fit into this roster. They're going to be barely a 5th, 6th seed team. First round exit for sure. Next, Golden State Warriors. I'm getting tired. Look, I think when they're going to win their 4th title this year, it's going to start getting tiring. Winning with that ease, they want to have a challenge. I think they're going to dissemble after the season. Kevin Durant's going to go to the Knicks.
Wow.
And I think the Warriors are going to disappear from the West. Houston Rockets, same old, same old. They're always so close to getting to the finals, but injury prone and just bad luck has always been on their side. They're not going to come through in the postseason again. Indiana Pacers, the right pace. Oladipo is a star in the making. He almost took out the Cavaliers in the first round. So I think that they're going to be a good team in the future. Los Angeles Clippers, Lob City collapse. The cornerstone of Lob City has been all gone with DeAndre Jordan joining the Mavericks. Interesting team to watch, but they're going to be quiet, not very exciting. Los Angeles Lakers, pretty obvious. LA Braun. I think they're going to be a very good team this year. People are banking and they're saying that probably the 5th best team in the league. I wouldn't sleep on them. Are they going to make the finals? Probably not, but they're going to do a lot better than people think they are. Next, the Memphis Grizzlies, only good on paper. They don't do anything. They're only statistically good. They have some nice names. They're statistically a good team, but they don't make any noise. Miami Heat, still some fire. Minnesota Timberwolves, the Wolfpack, is dissembling. Jimmy Butler is going to be leaving. I'm going to actually be talking about him later on and why I don't like his thought process and how he carries himself in the NBA. They have a good core of young players. Andrew Wiggins needs to start developing into a star that we all think he can be. He's averaging like 22 a night with like, I think 5 or 6 rebounds. So he has the stats there, but he's not dominant. Milwaukee Bucks, the Greek freak. New Orleans Pelicans, first round exit. New York Knicks, waiting for next summer. They're going to try to sign Kevin Durant or a big name. I think the Knicks are close to getting back into the Eastern Conference, but they need to sign a big name, a star that's going to carry them and work nicely with their young core and Porzingis. Next, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Lightning won't strike. Not a fan of Westbrook, never will be. He's a ball hog. He inflates his stats. He's a stat stuffer. He's too concerned with his own stat performance. He doesn't care about winning. He just wants to make records, and that's not going to do anything for him or his team. Next, Orlando Magic. Only muggles here.
Nice reference.
Yes, thank you. That's a Harry Potter reference. No Magic in Orlando, unfortunately. Philadelphia 76ers, second round exit. I think this is a pretty hot take. A lot of people think they're going to go to the conference finals. I wouldn't hype them up too much. They're probably going to be the same team as last year. Second round exit. Next, Phoenix Suns. Phoenix Wildcats, basically the Kentucky roster. Portland Trailblazers. I just have stuck because I don't know what's going on with them. I mean, Damian Lillard's a great player, but they're stuck. They're not making any progress in the postseason. And I like, who's the other player? They have another really nice player. I forget his name. Anyways, Sacramento Kings, college busts. Nice. Marvin Bagley III. They have all the high-end college prospects that did not turn out well.
Nice.
And they're going to be quiet and not making any moves. San Antonio Spurs, the usual. You know what you're getting with the Spurs. Toronto Raptors, the curse is gone. Yeah. No more LeBron. No more excuses. No more mental wall that they have to get through. They should make the finals, conference finals, that is. There's no excuse not to. Utah Jazz, they're jamming out. Washington Wizards, Howard won't help. I think the Wizards need to really reform their roster. Howard's not going to do anything. Howard's not been a star since 2009. They're the most frustrating team in the league. After this quick music break, I'm going to be talking about my thoughts on Jimmy Butler and why I think he should not be a player that should be looked up to in the league.
Welcome back, everyone.
Welcome back. I just searched up that player that I was talking about earlier on the Trailblazers. CJ McCollum he is. Anyways, so I think we can all agree, Erik and Austin, that great companies are built through partnerships. Iconic partnerships are legend. They make things work.
Yeah.
When great people want to work with great-minded people, they don't want to work with people below them. They want to work with people who are on their level, who are going to make them
best version of themselves.
Best version of themselves improve.
Right.
Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, Tom and Jerry, iconic, Nike and Apple.
Tom and Jerry, yeah.
Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, Bert and Ernie even.
Yep.
So I think that's why Jimmy Butler, who does not want to work and play with other great players, will never win a championship or make noise in this league if he continues having that mindset of wanting to be the one and only star on his team. So Jimmy Butler recently had this interview with Rachel Nichols where he talked about his issues with the Timberwolves. I don't know if you guys know, but he's basically saying that they don't want to win. They're not getting along. He wants out. He wants to go to the Knicks or Heat. He didn't say it, but he's basically implying that he wants to be the star of the team.
Yeah.
Because in Minnesota, there's Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins, so there's competition there. He said to Nichols, "You effing kidding me," quote. He reportedly said, "You can't win without me."
Jeez.
They offered him an extension that would have given him 4 years, $110 million. He says, quote, "It's about saying we need you, we want you here, we can't do this without you." And that was the disconnect all along. He said it's not about the money. It's not. Even Garnett said that I think Jimmy thinks his worth is a little more than what it is. He's a very good player. I don't see him on the Kevin Durant and LeBron James level, but if they are A+, he's definitely A-, end quote. See, other great players don't have that ego that Jimmy Butler and Russell Westbrook have. And if you look with Russell Westbrook, he's doing nothing in Oklahoma City. He wanted Kevin Durant out. He's out. He's happy now because now he's just getting triple doubles all day long.
Right.
That's all he cares about. But no one is ever considering the Thunder
Mm-mm.
to be a contender for the title. And for that same reason, I think Jimmy Butler with that ego, personality, should not belong, but no team should be actively recruiting him because he's not going to bring a championship to their team. He's unwilling to work with other great players if there's any contention or competition there. Like with LeBron James leaving Cleveland, right? Going to the Miami Heat, teaming up with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. He knew that if you wanted to win, you had to be with other great players, pass the ball, be a good team player.
That's it. It's all about the team. That's the thing. It's not an individual sport like a wrestling or a swimming. It's a team sport.
Exactly.
Yeah, you have great players in basketball, but the emphasis is on the team.
Exactly.
And that's kind of my criticism of LeBron. All that he's done for Akron, which is great, but he is very much a hog and kind of controlling of the team.
Yeah.
He sees that there is an importance of the team, but he sees that importance from himself. And I think Butler's seeing the same thing. He's saying, it's a team sport, but realistically, it's my team sport.
Interesting, yes. Yeah, for sure. Even with Stephen Curry, so he started recruiting Kevin Durant during his last season at Oklahoma City. He knew, if I want to win, I need to get Kevin Durant. And I think what's different with Stephen Curry, that I'll give it to him, is once Durant joined the Warriors, I think Stephen Curry's value dropped significantly. Whereas when LeBron joined other players, not value, but we heard less of Stephen Curry. Yeah. Whereas when LeBron joined Miami Heat with Dwayne Wade, LeBron was still the top dog.
True. Yeah, no, you're probably right. I mean, I never really thought about it like that. Yeah, you really kind of, Steph was kind of just there.
Exactly.
After.
Yeah. So that's my thought. I think that the NBA is based on great teams. If you look at past teams that won championships, they had at least three A players, Hall of Famers, team sport. Find a dynamic duo, stick with it, and you'll win. Let's move on to the NFL. Eric, can you break down the power rankings for this week?
Sure. So Week 6 NFL power rankings. In first, we have the Rams. Second, Chiefs. Third, Saints. Fourth, Patriots. Fifth, Panthers. Sixth, Jaguars. Seventh, Bengals. Eighth, Bears. Yeah. Ninth, Vikings. 10th, Chargers. And I have to put a plug for the Browns. They're 16th. They've moved up.
Do you think the Browns are going to go to overtime every single game this year?
Well, it's definitely nerve-wracking when they do. But I certainly hope they don't. I mean, I hope we. There's I think been 4 or 5 times where if they had this crucial play, they would have won. The turnover, and I think the second game the refs called the turnover for the opposing team, and it totally should have gone to us. And they even came out and said a week later that should have gone to the Browns. Exactly. We would have won the ball game after that. So I mean, it is bad luck and it's unfortunate. I think, there is obviously luck can only go so far. It is about raw talent, but I think we have had very, very bad hands dealt with us in games.
Yes.
But again, we pulled out the win in overtime, and that was huge.
I think that I'm looking at their schedule right now. I think they have a difficult schedule coming up. Their first few games were those that they could win. Unfortunately, with the Steelers, that was unfortunate. With the Jets, that was a gimme. Ravens, that was a gimme. But now they're moving on to teams that have good defenses, so they're playing the Chargers this week.
Right.
And I'm interested to see how Mayfield performs. What are your thoughts on Mayfield and his performance?
Yeah, no, I think he's very, very comfortable. I think he looks like a natural. I think it was the Ravens defensive coordinator said he's the next Flacco or the next Brett Favre. And I was like, wow, that's huge. That's huge for a coach, an opposing coach to say. And that was before the game. And I was like, wow, that's awesome. I think we can see it. I think he looks comfortable. When Manziel was in there, he looked skittish. He looked nervous. He looked like he was in a completely different league. He was used to being in college now. Yeah, I think Mayfield is a natural. I think he will bring a kind of relaxed, leadership to the team.
Yes.
That hasn't been with the Browns in quite some time.
Yeah. I've also watching him, and he brings so much energy to the field.
Yeah.
Like, he is proud to be a Browns player.
Yeah.
Which I think is rare.
Yeah, very much.
And he wants to bring this team out of the dust. not last week, 2 weeks ago, because we took a 2-week break, you predicted the Browns are going to win 4 games.
Yeah.
Are you sticking with that? Over,
I am.
under?
I really am. I don't want to get too lofty expectations of them going too high. I do think 4 is a very reasonable number given how bad we've done in the last 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah.
So I think 4 is the goal. If we go above that, that's awesome. But I really don't want to say, I think now we're on track because that's off of 4 weeks of prediction. I don't know. I think 4 is the magic number,
Yeah.
and if we hit that, I'll be very happy.
Yeah.
I think a lot of Cleveland fans will be happy.
Yeah. The Browns are on the right track.
Yep.
Good team. They will be a good team for the next few years. They're up and coming.
Yeah.
Baseball. What's going on with baseball?
Yeah, so, it is October, and it is baseball.
Oh, yeah.
So, a lot of stuff going on. After getting swept by the Astros, the Indians have fallen, sadly.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, very unfortunate. The Astros will go up against the Red Sox in the ALCS. The Red Sox crushed the Yankees in their series, winning 13-1. I had one of my roommates was actually at the at the Yankees stadium when they won 16-1, and he was next to 2 Red Sox players, and they said, do you have a way out of here? And he's like, well, yeah, kind of. Like, I would leave now and leave quickly because of just how violent it was. It was an absolute clobbering. 16-1 looks like, something against like the Orioles or the Royals, and it wasn't against the Yankees.
And it's an iconic rivalry too.
It is.
That's brutal.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think there really was much heated, like, how they always have those bench clears. I don't think they had any of those. I think the only closest time was either, I forget who was pitching for the Red Sox, but he yelled at Aaron Judge to get back in the box. So like you have those like tense moments, but nothing too serious. Like in, I think, what was it, 2004 was when they had the bench clear. I forget when it was, but it was pretty serious. Yeah, back in 2004. On the NL side, the Brewers swept the Rockies 3-0 in the series. They will be going up against the Dodgers, who won their series against the Braves 3-1.
Alrighty.
After this quick music break, we will be back and rocking. Stay tuned. Dances. The following is for educational purposes only. If any opinion is expressed in the following, they are not reflective of WZBC or WVBC respectively. Now for this week's headlines. The big news of the week is Hurricane Michael that has devastated the Florida Panhandle. At least 11 people have died, with many displaced and missing. On Wednesday, Michael made landfall with Category 4 winds of 155 miles per hour and storm surges of 9 feet. The storm will drop 8 to 10 inches of rain in Virginia and the Carolinas, as the hurricane is still registered as a tropical storm. FEMA and the Red Cross are standing by and have begun work to reunite and stem the losses of the storm. The stock market had a major readjustment this week, with blue chip stocks dropping almost 1,400 points before Friday's stabilization. Some wonder if this rout led by American tech stocks was due to the Fed's increase of the interest rate or the sustained tense trade relations. The Pope has accepted the resignation of Archbishop Daniel Wuerl, who was accused of not doing enough to root out abusive priests. For foreign news, the American pastor Andrew Brunson was released from Turkish custody. The pastor was accused of acts of terror by the state of Turkey. This comes as increased economic pressure on Turkey by the Trump administration reached a head with Turkish inflation and unemployment forecasted to go up in the coming months. There is heated allegation between Saudi Arabia and Turkey about a journalist named Jamal Khashoggi, who Turkey accuses Saudi Arabia of killing and dismembering in a Saudi Arabian consulate in Turkey. This story is developing. Now for some odd and funny news, a new installment of the news podcast. Pakistani martial artist cracks 243 walnuts with his head, breaking the Guinness World Record.
Wow.
What the?
Yeah, it's kind of wild. This was set by another Indian man with 217 walnuts.
Jeez.
Sometimes with records like that, I wonder if, will they ever not be broken? You think, is there a limit to how many walnuts you can crack with your head?
Maybe we could set out and try to see.
Maybe.
We could.
We could
Was there
do
a time limit
250.
on
We
it?
could.
I don't know.
Installment. Maybe we'll be
Next
cracking
installment.
walnuts
Next
for the whole
installment.
hour.
That would
yeah.
be kind of cool. Kind of weird, too. Gilbert Police Department in Minnesota have received calls from residents of drunk birds that have crashed into windows. Drunk birds of windows of local residents. They believe the birds are drunk because the berries have frosted earlier than usual, causing them to ferment. And the birds, who usually eat these berries in the fall, are now eating them and getting drunk.
Wow.
So now we have drunk birds
Oh no.
in Minnesota. And then finally, I think the big week's headline, we were talking about this earlier, was Alaska's Katami National Park is holding their National Fat Bear Week.
Some fat bears.
There
There
were
were some fat.
There were
thick
some
bears.
fat
thick
bears.
Thick bears.
Thick.
Extremely thick bears.
Crazy thick. Bead Nose 409 has won.
It's an odd name.
A very odd name.
He
Has
knows
won.
409.
Who's in charge of these names?
Yeah, who's
We gotta
that?
find them.
Honestly, has won after a tight and heated race between 747 and 32 Chunk. and one judge
This is
quoted,
good, yeah.
her radiant rolls were deemed by the voting public to be this year's most fabulous flab.
That's poetry.
It is
Oh, yeah,
poetry.
It's poetry. I think Edgar Allan Poe actually wrote that.
Or Bob Dylan.
Exactly. We saw a picture of the bear.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It was big.
No, we have to tell you, it's big.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
big.
It didn't look too healthy. but
No, it's definitely not healthy.
it's-
No.
I'm sure it's proud.
Right.
It's
eh,
proud of the chunk.
32 Chunk with radiant rolls.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Now we're going to welcome in our guest, Austin, after a quick musical interlude. And then, yeah, we'll be right back.
Sounds good. Alrighty, we are towards the end of our podcast today. This is exciting. First guest, head correspondent Austin. Everybody, please welcome him.
Welcome, Austin Thomas.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So, Austin, let's what are you majoring in?
Well, right now, the plan is probably finance and accounting. Originally this year, I was thinking econ, but right now I'm taking a micro theory class, like microeconomic theory, and it's just not really,
Not going.
not really going as I
Dang.
planned. You know, it's
Yeah.
just not as interesting as I thought it would be. Just kind of the material just doesn't really do anything for me. You know,
Wow, that's a shame.
I don't know. It is a shame. Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is.
I remember
But-
when I was taking just basic micro macro,
Yeah.
it wasn't a lot of math. It was just concepts.
Mhm.
Is that how micro theory is? Or is it more math?
It's some of the same concepts, but you apply like calculus to them, so the
Oh,
graphs
wow.
are like a little harder.
Oh,
And then there's
geez.
also some new concepts too, figuring out like consumer preferences between different goods and
Yeah.
like how they maximize their utility with those goods and how they get the most out of them and like how they use their money in the most efficient way and stuff like that, and applying calculus to it.
Nice.
But it's just not as I use the word fun, I guess. It's just not as fun
Not
or
what you're
interest-
expecting.
or as
Yeah.
interesting as I was expecting. But I'm glad I took it because I wouldn't have figured it out
Exactly, early
if
on.
I didn't. So
That's all good.
Are you a finance major as well? We were-
yeah, so I'm considering now, since econ is kind of off the table, for now at least.
Yeah.
I'm kind of considering finance and accounting instead of finance and econ because I've taken 2 accounting classes so far and I've really enjoyed them.
Nice.
So that's kind of the plan now.
That's good.
So
Awesome.
we'll see. Yeah,
You're from Boca Raton, Florida,
I am
right?
Boca Raton,
Boca
Florida.
Raton.
Yep,
That's on the
Um,
East Coast.
it is on the East Coast. It's in the like southern part of Florida, kind of the southeast part. So we didn't really get hit by the hurricane, thank
Right.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
but,
how far
yeah.
is it from Miami?
Driving, it's like an hour
Oh
from
wow,
Miami.
Not
So
bad.
that's not bad at all.
yeah. Fort Lauderdale is like half an hour away if you know where that is. West Palm Beach is like also
West
a half
Palm,
hour
yeah.
away in the
Yeah.
other direction. So we're kind of
Okay.
in the middle of those two.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're like 20 minutes away from the Atlantic Ocean. So like 20 minutes away from the beach,
Wow,
which
That's
is pretty
awesome.
cool.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm sure the
Yeah.
weather, yeah. The weather there is probably really nice.
Yeah. I mean, during the summer, it's extremely hot.
Oh, yeah?
Very
Yeah.
hot. And then in the winter, it's still like kind of hot, but like a little bit cooler. So
Wow.
Yeah.
you know,
that's
winter Florida in the winter is very nice. There's a lot more people because a lot of they call them like snowbirds. People from
Snowbird,
the north
okay.
will come down,
Yeah.
and stay. So like there's a lot more traffic and
Yeah.
restaurants are way busier and stuff. But the weather is very nice in the wintertime.
Wow,
Yeah.
you have kind of a weird system. You go to Florida for the summers and Boston for the winters.
Yeah,
That's kind of like the worst of both
Yeah,
worlds.
Yeah, honestly,
The
yeah.
two extremes in America. Wow.
But like you actually see like seasons in Boston.
Yes, and that is
So-
very nice too. Actually, last year, freshman year was the first time I ever lived through like seeing leaves change and like seeing.
That's awesome.
Well, I'd seen snow before, but I'd never like lived through an actual winter.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
that was my first time. So it was really cool. It's cool to see the change of seasons
cool.
because in Florida, you know, the trees are green year round. The sun shines pretty much year round.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Right.
So,
Yeah, we went sledding last year. Was that your first time sledding? ever?
Yeah,
Wow.
first time,
That's
yeah.
crazy.
Dang.
and it was a great college experience.
It
You know,
really
'cause
was.
we
Oh,
used-
yeah.
What were we using? Cardboard boxes.
Cardboard
and
boxes,
just-
political signs.
Yeah.
From
There was like a
all
no
sorts of
slip.
makeshift
Like a no
things.
slip, was
yeah,
it?
yeah.
Oh,
wet
like one of
floor
those-
sign.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
caution
wet
wet
floor.
floor sign.
Yep, we was one of those. Then we
Yeah.
had, I think we had something else, but yeah.
I remember that.
dining hall tray.
Dining hall, yeah.
Yeah.
That hill was so steep.
So steep.
You went
was.
like fast like
Yeah.
that.
And then the trees were like zooming by you. It's like, wow, this is not safe
Yeah.
whatsoever.
Oh, no.
It
Yeah.
was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. So I think we brought Austin on to talk about some music. I went to a concert with Austin 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Uh,
Can you talk about that? Yeah.
yeah. What were
Yeah,
your thoughts?
so Yeah, so we went to a concert for a band called Beartooth. They are a metal band. In terms of like the metal scene, they're actually fairly well known. They have like over 1 million listeners on Spotify, which for like monthly listeners, which for a metal band is pretty solid.
It's strong, yeah.
So that was fun. They had 2 other bands called Siler and Knocked Loose who opened for them, who were also both quite interesting.
Yes.
But yeah, it's definitely a different sort of experience when you go to a metal concert, you know, because there's like mosh pits and they do all sorts of, like they do this thing called a wall of death where you get pushed to the sides of the auditorium.
That was
or whatever,
annoying.
And then you gotta like,
Oh, yeah.
That was annoying.
So it's very loud too. I don't think my ears recovered probably until a good 2 days later.
Yeah, I was saying.
But yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't hear out of my right ear for a while, so that was kind of, yeah. But what were your thoughts about like Siler, Knocked Loose, those who opened for him?
Well, Siler was pretty solid actually,
Yeah.
and I had never heard of them before that concert. And actually, I looked into them. Like I looked them up after the concert because I was like, oh, they're actually not bad. They were kind of like they were like a more metal version of like Linkin Park kind of, or like Rage Against the Machine, and sort of had like some of those rap vibes. Knocked Loose. Wasn't the biggest fan. It was kind of just a guy screaming into a mic.
Yeah.
Which some people argue, oh, that's what all metal is. But like that was worse.
No,
You know,
it was worse. It was worse. I would play it for our listeners, but it is so bad.
Yeah.
The instrumentals were pretty good for Knocked Loose.
Yeah. Like if they had an instrumental album, maybe I'd like vibe out to that. But the lyrics, I don't know.
No,
just didn't do it for me.
Was not great. And then obviously Beartooth was the headliner. They were awesome. Who's the lead singer for?
Caleb Shomo is his name. He used to be in a band called Attack Attack. That ended, I think, in 2012.
Okay.
And then he started Beartooth, and they've become a lot more popular than Attack Attack since then.
Yeah.
So he's done a good job with them. They just released a new album called Disease. Came out like a few weeks ago. So this tour that they're doing is kind of like to promote that album.
Yeah.
It's pretty solid.
Wow.
So
yeah. Now you said you're always a fan of like Chelsea Grin, Ice Nine Kills.
Oh yeah. So Ice Nine Kills, they just came out with a new album too.
Yeah?
They're probably like my favorite metal band of all time. They're very they're in this genre that people call metalcore because it's a mix of like heavy metal and like punk and post-hardcore.
Yeah.
Because post-hardcore is just a word for like hardcore punk, pretty much. So they're kind of a mix of those two. So that's mostly what I listen to.
Yeah.
It's kind of a mix of like normal vocals and screaming and like really good. Yeah, I say screaming. It's a really silly word, but it is kind of true what they do.
Yeah.
But also with really good like instrumentals and like heavy guitars and drums and stuff like that. It's good for like working out. It really gets you pumped up.
Oh yeah.
You know,
It does.
if you're in like a chill mood or it's like early in the morning, it's not really the best thing to listen to. I
No.
won't lie.
Not
But,
really
if you're
relaxing.
getting pumped up, it's good.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Do you listen to that when you study, and is that kind of your like go-to music?
Sometimes. Depends on what mood I'm in, really. But if I'm like reading a textbook or something, I don't listen to that because it's just way too distracting and it's just so many noises coming at you and it's like you just can't even focus. But if I'm doing like, you know, certain other types of homework, like this is gonna sound silly, but like math homework or something like that, where it's like it's not really like a lot of reading different words. You know, I can have that in the background a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it depends on the mood.
Now with Ice Nine Kills, don't they theme all their albums?
Yeah,
Is that
so
right?
they kind of have this thing that they call like a concept album, basically, where they take some sort of theme and every song in their album is based off that theme. So they came out with an album in 2015 called Every Trick in the Book, and every song in that was based off like a famous book.
Okay.
So they had The Exorcist was one of them, Dracula, Anne Frank's Diary, actually. And then just the most recent album they came out with was called The Silver Screen. And every song in that is based off a famous like horror movie.
Okay.
So like Halloween, Saw, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Wow.
All that stuff. So
That's pretty cool concept.
Yeah, it
I
is
like
cool.
that. That's awesome.
and there's really no one else, at least that I know of, in like the modern metal genre who does that type of thing. So it kind of sets them apart.
Right.
So it's cool.
What's the difference between modern metal and like Metallica and kind of that old age like Iron Maiden kind of type of metal?
That's a good question. So most of that metal people kind of consider like classic metal, I guess. And back then they didn't do as much like the guitars weren't quite as heavy, so they didn't really tune like nowadays metal bands will tune their strings down on their guitars so they sound like way more chuggy and heavy and lower.
Right.
Back then they didn't really do that. There wasn't as much like screaming vocals as there are now.
Yeah.
And those
makes
are probably the two main differences. Now also I think like the tempos are a lot faster on songs, so the drums are a lot quicker and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, true. Okay. All right. So you're a huge Call of Duty fan.
I am.
Call of
That's
Duty,
true.
yeah.
That's
and
true.
they just came out with Call of Duty
They
Black
did
Ops 4,
actually,
right?
yeah. It literally just came out yesterday at midnight on
Midnight.
Friday. So technically like Thursday night, I guess, but or technically Friday morning, but it felt like Thursday night because it was midnight.
Have you played?
I actually have not played it since it came out. I did play the beta when that was
Okay.
released, like maybe like a month back or something like that.
Right.
Okay. Do you like it?
Yeah, it's good. Normally, Call of Duty games, they come out in November, like early November, like clockwork every single year. But this one came out a month earlier because it's only like, what is it, like October
12th or 13th.
Yeah, October
what is-
13th today.
13th,
So
yeah.
it came out like almost a month earlier because there were a few reasons for that. Number one, the COD game that came out last year like did not really do as well as people were expecting, so the hype like died down for it way long ago, so they wanted to come out with this one quicker.
Okay.
And there's also a bunch of other bigger games coming out in November this year, like Battlefield and I think Red Dead Redemption.
Oh, wow.
So they kind of wanted to be like ahead of the curve there and get their game out earlier in terms of like a business decision.
Yeah.
But yeah, they also incorporated a battle royale mode into it because, as you guys know, Fortnite is
Fortnite.
literally like the only game anyone has cared about for the last maybe year or like 10 months or whatever
Yeah.
has pretty much
It's
been
exploded,
Fortnite.
yeah.
It literally exploded. Everyone plays it.
Oh, yeah.
People that like
Yeah.
weren't even into video games before play Fortnite.
Yeah.
Like everyone knows.
Well, because
it.
now I think it has a stigma of it's like males play it, and then
Yeah.
girls are like,
Yeah.
oh my god, they play it. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's dead. I think it is.
Agreed.
It's dying. It's
dying.
dying.
It
Yeah,
definitely
it's
is.
It
dying.
was, yeah. Oh, no, sorry. It was probably one of the longest running ones, though.
Yeah.
Like, I remember, I think the last video game that had that sort of impact that I can think of was, like, Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
That just took
Yeah.
over. But
For
that
a
was
summer. That was
for
for
a
like a summer.
summer.
Fortnite at least survived the summer binge, and it
And
kind of went
it
in.
stayed at its height for a very long time
Yeah.
too. It didn't really start dying down until like fairly recently, I guess.
Yeah.
So it had like a long peak, sort of, that
Right.
it stayed up there.
Yeah, I argued with my friend one time about if it was dying or not, and he argued, oh, no, they just made revenue on this, and the revenue's increasing. Well, it's because now they've shifted to kind of play to win and kind of play to play, kind of pay to play kind
Yes.
of model. It's like, of course, the revenue's going to grow because they didn't have revenue before. So I think it's dying. I think the culture around it is kind of just gone to like what, younger kids are playing it now,
Yeah.
and so people are like, meh.
Yeah.
the demographics shifted.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of college students were playing it, and now it's kind of a
13-year-olds.
joke, 13-year-olds playing online. And I was reading this article that, like, kids are signing up for dance classes to, like, or, like, tutor. Like, they
Oh,
have,
yeah.
like, some
Oh,
peer
yeah,
service
yeah.
or something like that
Yep.
where they teach them how to play better.
Yep.
Or they learn the dance moves in the game.
I heard that.
It's becoming kind of like a joke,
Right.
younger
Yeah.
thing.
A lot of like cringe compilations
Cringe,
and stuff online.
yeah,
of
a
lot of
kids,
cringe,
like
a lot of
trying
memes.
Fortnite victory dances
Oh,
and
I
stuff.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
It's-
not.
Yeah.
So, but it was a good game
Yeah.
when it came
Uh-huh.
out. It was cool.
Yeah.
It was a cool concept, and that's funny that COD
Yeah.
kind of adopted that.
Yeah, and that's really the reason I brought it up is because normally Call of Duty has like a multiplayer mode, a campaign mode, which is like a story mode where it's like a one-player thing and you go through a storyline.
Yeah.
Then they have a zombies mode, but this year they threw out the campaign and put in Battle Royale instead,
Wow,
just
that's
because
weird.
Battle Royale has become such a huge thing that they probably
Wow.
wanted to kind of jump on that hype train,
Yeah,
sort of.
right.
And a few of my friends, really good friends from high school who are really into Fortnite, they've been playing the Battle Royale in the new Call of Duty. They call it Blackout, and they said it's very good.
Okay.
They've really been enjoying it.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so I'm excited for that.
What's your favorite COD game? Like overall.
Oh, so Modern Warfare 2. It
Okay.
came out in like 2009, so at this point it's really old. That was kind of when Call of Duty was at its hype or at its like peak point around like 2009, 2010,
Oh, yeah.
2011.
Right.
So Modern Warfare 2, I would say most males our age, if you tell them like Modern Warfare 2, they'll remember that game.
Yeah,
Because
no.
back in like middle school and early high school,
Yeah.
like a lot of people played that.
Yeah.
Like when you said the last game you could think of that like had the amount of hype as Fortnite was Pokemon Go, I was thinking like if you go more in the past, I was
In the
thinking like
Warfare
Modern Warfare
games.
2.
Yes.
Like Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3,
Yeah.
Black Ops even, like
Black
Black Ops
Ops,
1, Black
yeah.
Ops 2.
Oh, yeah.
Like a lot of people know those
Yeah.
games because they were just so huge.
Yeah.
Back in like 2010, 2011.
As far as campaign modes, what do you was that the best storyline, or do you think there were better storylines?
Well, I mostly played like multiplayer.
Okay.
So in terms of like the maps and the types of guns you could use and
Yeah.
stuff, I think Modern Warfare 2 had the best multiplayer.
Okay.
It did have a good storyline though too. I wasn't huge into like the campaigns of Call of
Yeah.
Duty games, so I never really got into the storylines a lot. But the whole Modern Warfare storyline, going from like Modern Warfare 1 to 2 to 3, the whole thing was pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, no, it should be pretty good. They've hyped up the Call of Duty
Yeah.
4 pretty
Yeah.
extensively. It's a filter on Snapchat.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
I think there's on
Yeah.
on Tumblr they have ads for that too. So at least they're hyping that up.
And I think in terms of like future future-proofing it kind of. I think they're going in the right direction because they're following a lot of other bigger games now, like Overwatch and Fortnite and stuff, where they're going more, because Call of Duty has always traditionally been like a lone wolf type of game where you hop into like team deathmatch and you kind of do your own thing and just try to win the game. But now they're taking more of like a team-oriented style where you really have to like combine your abilities of different people and like use a lot more of like team building or like team playing to win. So I think that's a good direction to go into because more people enjoy that. So
have you ever heard of a game called Insurgency? It's on Steam.
I have heard of it. Never played it.
So it goes along that line of team style, where you have to, when you hop in, you have to select a category of class, and that could be taken by someone else. But it's kind of it's along that same premise where the heavy defensive player has to follow that line, while the far-ranging offensive player has to follow that line, and it's kind of going towards.
There's like designated roles for each person you pick, and Call of Duty never had that in the past. But now with this new one, they kind of have, like as you were saying, different sort of characters. And they all have different roles, kind of in terms of like being valuable to the team. So they have taken that kind of turn. So, and I think most people like that. So that's good.
No, that's cool. Now, we have something down here for Vans and Ruka, or Rivka, RVCA.
Who knows how that's pronounced?
We don't know.
I've heard Ruka,
Does that stand for
RVCA, Rivka. I don't, I think it might be Ruka, like the V is supposed to be a U because it's spelled RVCA. But yeah, so Vans, and I'll just say Ruka. Vans and Ruka are easily my two favorite clothing companies. That's pretty much all I wear. Anyone who knows me knows to attach those two clothing brands like with me because it's basically all I wear. And it probably started in like middle school because I used to skateboard a lot, and Vans is really associated with like skateboarding because their shoes are made for that. And then Ruka is kind of like just sort of like a skateboard surfing sort of company, so they kind of go hand in hand. But they make really good clothes. You should check them out. Ruka makes like the softest shirts in the world. Very, very good quality and extremely soft, like very comfortable.
That's awesome.
So
it's pretty cool. I see a lot of Vans around campus a lot. White Vans especially.
Well, that's the thing, because I started when I met Austin last year. He was talking about. I remember we went into your dorm room one time, and you had this line of Vans, like
crazy.
10 pairs. I'm like, you must really like Vans. I'll try a pair out. I got a pair of white Vans, and they are really comfortable.
They are.
Like they're a great shoe.
And I accidentally spilled ketchup on your shoe one night. And I felt really bad. So I brought Jacob back, and I said, you know what? I have an old Indian trick that my dad taught me. So we took Sensodyne toothpaste. And we rubbed it on the spot.
The front.
It kind of went away.
It did.
I mean, I don't see it now.
It helped.
It's really gone. And then at the time, it was perfect. So if you have white clothing and you need a quick fix, either Sensodyne toothpaste, any whitening toothpaste, rub it on there. It gets it out. And then the next wash, it'll be gone.
I'll tell you, when you apply it at first, you can tell it's a different coat. It's a little bit brighter. But once you use it and obviously walk outside, it was raining a couple of days, it blends in a little nice. So thank you for that fix.
Of course. No, of course. So
Alrighty. That brings us to the end of the second installment of First Stop. Thank you guys for tuning in and joining us on this Saturday morning.
It's been great. We want to thank Austin for joining us. Awesome.
Oh, yeah. No, of course. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I'll be back. I assure you. I'll be back at some point.
We look forward to it. So we actually just got a new Instagram account.
We did.
So if you want to check us out, we have 3 ways to check us out.
That's right.
SoundCloud, email, and Instagram.
You're right. We got every single possible mode of communication. Yeah.
Covering all grounds.
Covering all grounds. So our Instagram handle is First Stop Official.
Yep.
Similar to our SoundCloud and our email.
That's right.
So again, if you have any complaints, questions, requests, email us at firststopofficial@gmail.com. Follow us on SoundCloud at First Stop Official. And check out WZBC, which is our FM partner. And then WVBC is this station AM.
Yep.
Check us out next week at 9 a.m. We thank you. We see you
at the next stop.